Hello and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Office Politics. Let's Talk Office Politics. My name is Olatunji Shobodu and I'm your anchor and, representing office politics champions. You know that favorite group. If you have not joined us, you want to join us. All right, check out our YouTube channel, for example. And, also we have a platform that you can check out that will be helpful to you. And, we are here again for our lunchtime program. And this is Let's Talk Office Politics. Let's Talk Office Politics. And all right, this is supposed to be a 45-minute program that affords everyone who is interested, professionals, executives, leaders, businessmen, anyone interested in the subject of office politics. And the idea is that here you can access expert, counsel, guidance on the subject of office politics. So maybe you're having issues at work, maybe you're having some challenges on your career, maybe you want, to be able to handle this often treacherous tough of office politics better. Well, this is an opportunity to interact with someone who has been there, who has done that. And, and also colleagues of yours that are in attendance so that you can pick their brains, share their experiences. That way, you have access to the counsel, to the guidance, to the knowledge that you require to be able to advance your career better, to be able to truly, navigate the journey better. And so I often say that this program is yours, it's not really mine, but I always also prepare something, to share. If people aren't forthcoming, so that, anytime you have the opportunity to listen to the edition, maybe on the YouTube channel, or on the WhatsApp group, you will have something to take away as well. So I want to encourage you and I want to thank those who have attended, who are in attendance right now. Please know that it's yours. You can ask questions. If you want to ask a question, just raise your hand and you would have the floor, or you may want to use the chat to ask your question. So, but while we're at it, and please ask your question at any time. My eyes are on the chat. My eyes are also on the lookout for your hand so that I can recognize you when you want to ask your question. While waiting for that, I want to focus on what I have titled Navigating Without a Compass. Navigating without a compass. What do we mean, navigating without a compass? Navigating office politics without a compass. That's what many people do. And we will see what that entails in a moment. But let's start by saying that, office politics is just a phenomenon, it's a workplace phenomenon. It exists in every organization. Now, your career is a journey. If you are a career person, professional, you have embarked on a journey, Right now, you may be at different stages or in different phases of that journey. Some may just be starting. Maybe you just, graduated from the university or from school or from some certification, and you just got a job. All right. Maybe some have been in they have been on the journey. All right. And they may have, been out. They may have come back in again. They have been working. They have gotten a few promotions. They are, not greenhorns. So they're on the journey. Some others are, very top level. They are, if you almost there, perhaps even almost getting out of, the journey itself. Maybe their careers are about coming to an end. Like some of us since many years ago. All right, so your career is a journey. And that journey is a journey that is meant to move you from level to level, okay? To transform you, as it were, from glory to glory. And hopefully to the top. And hopefully to the top. I guess, many of us, the average career person or professional, wants to get to the top. All right. I mean, what's the point starting a race if you don't intend to win? Okay. So many of us, although, many would rather wish their way there than to walk their way there. The reality is that you never get to the top by wishing your way, and while we're at it, you should also find out no one really gets to the top without recognizing the politics of the environment, and carefully, intentionally navigating it. All right. So many people want to get to the top. That's great, and the top is yours for the taking, but it's not going to come cheap. It's not going to come through naivety. It's not going to come through nonchalance. You're going to get there being deliberate, intentional, strategic, all right, recognizing the environment in which you're operating, and carefully navigating your way, So it's a good time, to ask, what are your career goals? What are your objectives? Where exactly are you going? All right. If you are new, it's a great time, okay, to deal with that issue, because it will make all the difference in your career. It's time to forget that it's about just picking up a salary, at the end of each month, and having things just cruising. No. If you are serious about your career, it's not about cruising. You have work to do. You have serious work to do. All right. So you must have goals. You must have objectives. All right. In 5 years, where do you want to be? In 10 years, where do you want to be? All right. And those need to be settled very early in the day. And by the way, the truth is that they can change. All right. From time to time, as you mature, as you get to know more, they can change. All right. Because again, your interest can change. The more you discover, you might decide that maybe this is not for me. Maybe I need to change, career, so things can change. But at the early stages, you must be clear about where you want to go, how far you want to go in your career, what kind of impact do you want to make, how high do you want to rise to. If you find people who have risen, who are sitting in those, at those levels that many of us wish we would, desire to, you should ask them that they didn't get there just by wishing. They didn't get there just by, the tide carrying them or tossing them here and there. They got there because they did certain specific things, okay? So that you must address. All right. I would welcome those who have just joined us. This is your program. Let's Talk Office Politics is your lunch hour business session. I say, well, eat your cake and have it. And here it's about helping, supporting, you to navigate your career more effectively. All right. To navigate your career with that understanding that is required to be able to accelerate. Many are frustrated, many are stagnated, many just don't like the mention of office politics. But the truth is, there's politics in every organization, whether it is circular, whether it is faith-based, whether it is an NGO. As long as people are gathered, as long as there's something at stake, as long as, people are jostling for one thing or the other, there is politics. There is politics. And you hurt yourself, if you are naive enough, all right, either to think that there is no politics or to think that everyone is doing what they are doing to serve your interest. No, it is usually not the case. Everyone is seeking his or her own interest, and often those interests conflict. For example, there can only be so many CEOs in a company. There can only be so many assistant general managers. There can only be so many managers. All right? And so when the time to choose comes, some will make it and some will be dropped. And you don't want to be the one to be dropped. And your friend isn't going to yield that position to you in case both of you are being considered for, the seat. All right. And it shouldn't yield the position to you. All right. What will be in both your interests, your best interest, is that there is some level of competition. Because when there is competition, everybody improves. Everybody improves. So that's the reality of the, office environment, the reality of the office environment. And of course, if you have goals, you have a vision, you have objectives that are well laid out, then you want to figure out, how do I achieve them? Earlier on this week, I spoke about the need for a strategy, for you, to have a strategy that you employ as you pursue your career. What's your strategy? How do you move? How do you ensure that your work is recognized and rewarded? All right. How do you ensure that you have a standing in the organization and you are not just another statistic? How do you ensure that, benefits accrue to you? How do you gain power and influence? All right. You have to adopt a strategy. There is a way that, you must decide on, that this is how I want to play this game. And so a strategy is required. Again, like your goals and objectives, your strategy can change from time to time. Your strategy can change from phase to phase. Your strategy can change from, stage to stage, because guess what? Even the organization is going through phases. Even the organization, changes strategy, because the organization is operating within a particular environment. And when, there are changes in the environment, it's like the music changes, the dance steps have to change. Not to change your dance steps would be, again, to be naive. And so that's how it happens. But, and this is what will take me to what I really want to speak on today, is how do you come about that strategy? How do you decide? I mean, you've only just got into the organization. Maybe you've done 3 or 4 years. All right. And now, you really begun to see office politics play itself out. How do you, decide on how you want to play, on a particular way to play, that puts you in serious contention makes you a force to be reckoned with, all right, and gives you a fighting chance, or advancing your career, of achieving your goals. How do you come, to decide on a strategy? Okay. And I want to submit that you need help, that you will always need help. You will always need help. You need help so that your strategy can be relevant to the environment. You need help so that your strategy can be potent, effective, something that you can rely on. That if I play in this manner, the chances are that I'm going to win. You need help. Otherwise, how do you come up with a strategy? First, you have to understand the system very well. How do you understand the system? Just by paying attention? Oh, no. Not just by paying attention. Just by being around? No. You don't understand the system just because you have been around. You could have been around for so long, but you have not done what you need to do in order to understand the system. But in order to play, you must understand the system. Let me say again, welcome to everyone who has joined us. If you have any questions, if you want me to address any issue, if you have any challenges perhaps in this area of office politics or generally in your career, please let me know. Your hands up and you'll be recognized. You would ask your question. We all would like to benefit from you and to support and help you as well. And you may want to do that by speaking, or by, just putting your question in the chat. Or if all you have are remarks about what we are covering today, then please go ahead and just make those remarks. My eyes are on the chat and also looking up to see if there are any hands so that we can have your contributions. Today, we're speaking on navigating without a compass. That's not something that anyone should do. So, office politics, your career pursuit is a journey. All right. You want to move from level to level, from stage to stage. And I'm saying, yes, it requires a strategy. All right. But much more, you require help to even come up with a strategy, that is relevant, that is potent. You need help. Why do you need help? Because okay, if you are not challenged, maybe you don't need help. But I would say that if you are not challenged, okay, doesn't mean that you can't be challenged tomorrow. And so you don't wait until the challenge arises before you build the capacity to address, all right, issues that could arise. Before you build the capacity to play this game, and to play it as a pro, so to speak. So you need help, all right? You need help to navigate your way in any organization. You need help to navigate your way, all right, through the politics of the organization. Interests are conflicting. There are different stakeholders, all right? And everybody won't get what he or she wants. That's the truth, all right? Because if everybody would get or can get what they want, then the interests are not conflicting. Then there is nothing to complain about. If what somebody is doing is not likely to affect you, who cares? But that's not how it runs. The way it runs is that your organization is a pyramid, all right? And it's a case of many were called, few are chosen, because only one person will sit at the head of the organization, outside the board now, the MD, CEO. Even at the level of the board, there's just a handful of them, all right? But then, as you go down, there are more people on different levels. So you see that there isn't space for everyone at every level. Therefore, there has to be screening. Therefore, people will be dropped while some people are chosen. And if the reality of that is that you must never make the mistake of thinking that people will be chosen on the basis of your own criteria. Usually, your criteria is not what is used. And many of us like to argue for meritocracy. My job or my work should speak for me. Well, it's okay. And I've spoken about this before, that the problem is that, yes, work does speak. And ordinarily, your work should speak. But the way you define your work, that work that you define does not have a voice, so it doesn't speak. But if you would look at work, the way the superiors, the decision makers look at it, that kind of work, can speak better. And that means you have to look at work in a more robust sense, not just the achievement of your targets. All right? Not just the achievement of your targets. Just relying on the achievement of your targets alone will not get you up there. I guarantee you that. If you're at the lower level, yes, for a couple of levels, it can have some relevance. But beyond a particular level, you have to do much more than just meeting targets. Oh, yes, that's the way that it works. That's the way it works. So how can you get help? Evolving a strategy to navigate. You need help. If you haven't been playing this game, it's even more so. It's more compelling for you to seek for help. Not just by way of training, maybe attending some of our own programs. Not just that. I want to speak about a particular kind, of help. I want to speak about a particular kind of help. You need a compass, as it were, reliable one to navigate. All right? I mean, it's a journey. In a sense, it's an adventure, because many of the things you come across, you have not seen them before. Maybe you had a few things, but when push comes to shove, you really know what they call office politics. All right? So, and when you are embarking on a journey, whose destination you are not quite clear about. All right? When you are embarking on an adventure, you need a compass, so that it makes life a lot easier for you. Now, I want to identify 6 possible sources of help and give you a sense, of how important they are, their relative importance. Okay, 6 important sources of help. I will start. The first one will be your boss. Yes, whoever is your boss today, right now. Okay? Or maybe your collection of bosses, if you still have bosses you can relate with, and they're not people that you disagreed with or that you abused or that you have done things against, you may not be able to go back to them right now. Even though I would suggest that if you have the opportunity, you need to ensure that you do something about those relationships. All right. But your current boss is very important. That's number one. Your current boss, very important, is a source of help on how to navigate. And don't be carried away. Don't let your boss suggest to you that there is no politics. Please, some bosses can play games, as well. But, I'll come back to that. The second is you need a mentor. All right. You can get help from a mentor. You can get help from a mentor. What kind of mentor? I'll speak to that shortly. All right. Because one of the things I've seen a lot of people use that word mentor. I mean, some people have never met the person that they are calling a mentor, yet they refer to them as mentors. No, those are not mentors. You are just admiring somebody from afar. That's not what mentoring is about. You need a coach. All right. A coach will be somebody like myself. or somebody who stands in my kind of place, who basically, has gone through these things, has seen them, has experienced, maybe even chosen to focus on that area just like I do, and knows a bit more about how these things work. All right. And that kind of person doesn't have to be in your organization. Your boss is in your organization. Your mentor typically should come from your organization, even though in rare instances, you may also have, someone who mentors you, but who does so from outside the organization. Again, like I said, I'll speak to that shortly. Then you have yourself, as a source of help, perhaps. And the reason I say that is because, some people believe that they can work their way out. They can learn, certain things, and all of that. They can attend programs, they can go for training, and that's fine. I mean, that brings some level of knowledge, all right, your way, and it could help. Yes, the help could be limited, but, it could help all the same, okay? Then, and this one is interesting. This is number 5. Your HR personnel at work. You know what we say. A lot of people tend to depend on the HR people because we see them and they tout themselves as looking out for your interest, as planning your career and all of that kind of stuff. So some people rely on them to help them, navigate their way within the organization. The truth is, yes, you can get help from them, but I hate to say that the help that they offer, as far as the reality of office politics is concerned, is pretty limited. So you want to be careful, okay? It's pretty limited. It's pretty limited, okay? And I will tell you why. And, one of the reasons, one of the counsels I gave is that no one should really depend on HR to pursue their interest, all right? Because I mean, HR is interested in every staff and it will make the same promise to every staff. But even they don't have the resources enough to effectively plan, for the staffing complement that the organization have. So how can you depend on them? Moreover, I love the counsel from the Bible that says you should work out your own salvation. You have to take responsibility for yourself. So some people need to quit the idea of thinking that HR has a silver bullet, a silver wand that they can wield to make sure that their interests are always served, within an organization as they seek to pursue their career. Nothing can be further from the truth. Well, if the experience of some of us had to go by, and that's quite some years. And the final number 6 that I would identify as a source of help, to which some have also, relied, perhaps inadvertently, is a peer group at work. The peer group at work. You just have this group of people that you relate with, that you get along with. They're essentially people on your grade, and within that group, we do a lot of talking. We talk about all manner of things, and somehow we believe, that we can help ourselves, okay, to get through all the challenges that we face as we're navigating our careers. And I guess many times all of us have our eyes right up there, okay? What we are not particularly conscious of is that when the chips are down, as my people will say, 20 children cannot play together for 20 years. And that's because, no matter how close we are, if any of us were to make it to the CEO level, only one person will sit on that seat at any given time. And that means every other person cannot sit on that seat. So again, be careful to think that because you are in a group, just as many others do, they think because that, they categorize themselves not as an individual stakeholder, but as a member of a group of stakeholders. So, they are employees. Employees are stakeholders in any organization. But guess what? Never see yourself as a stakeholder in the group of employees. Why? Who is pursuing the interests of that group? Who? Think about it. Is there anybody who is pursuing the interests of that group? When the chiefs are down, who is going to speak for that group? So face the reality. You got into the organization yourself on your own terms. It's your journey. You better take ownership of it. And don't think that, some other person or group will be there for you when the chips are down. All right. We're not saying that they won't be useful, but the usefulness can be pretty limited. So I have given you 6 possible sources of help. All right. 6 possible sources of help. And let me say very quickly. All right. Again, please, thank you for joining, everyone who has joined this lunch hour program. Just a few more minutes, we'll be done. We have been speaking on navigating without a compass. That's what some people do, and it is unadvisable. It's not advisable. It's not a way to win at work. You need a compass because your career is a journey. And if the guarantee that you would arrive safely is that you have access to, a compass. And that's because everyone that embarks on his or her career, everyone that gets into any organization is new, would have to learn of how things are done. So you can't say that you know where you are going, how long it will take for you to arrive and all of that. And that's why you need help. So you need a compass. And so where should you look, or who should you look to, for that compass? And I have mentioned 6 sources. And so in terms of, importance, in terms of priority, I will put the mentor as number 1. The mentor as number 1. And for avoidance of doubt, your mentor is somebody with whom you have a clear understanding of that relationship. All right. A mentor has to know that he or she is mentoring you, and for what purpose. All right. A mentor is somebody, unlike a coach, who must be involved in your life. Is somebody you answer to necessarily. All right. Is somebody who has consciously taken responsibility to help you, all right, navigate the journey in the organization, or with respect to any particular thing that for which you needed the mentor. All right. The mentor is not someone you admire from afar. Yes, you can admire your mentor, but that relationship, for it to make any meaning, must be concretized. I have advised people before, look for a mentor, giving them certain guidelines on who would be a quality mentor. All right. Somebody who has been around in the organization for long, who understands the policies, who understands the culture of the organization, somebody who has risen, all right, through the ranks. I mean, not necessarily coming from, the base, but somebody who has spent a bit of time, 15 years, they've been around, 20 years in some cases, maybe to a lesser extent, 12, 13 years. All right. You want somebody who is at home. All right. And somebody, therefore, who also has clout. Somebody that people listen to, somebody that has good reputation. All right. Especially with people at the top, with the decision maker, somebody who himself is a decision maker, who is a leader, who would typically sit in some of those meetings where decisions are taken. That's the kind of person you want as a mentor. Because, and think about it. The person knows, the journey. knows the different routes, knows where the landmines are, knows what milestones are important. The person knows, to put you on notice when, there is danger lurking in the corner. The person is always on the lookout for you. A mentor is always on the lookout. A mentor is protective. A mentor will act as a sponsor, more than a sponsor. Some people talk about getting a sponsor. A sponsor will be somebody who is able to make your case. All right. And you can walk to anybody perhaps to do that without necessarily having a very close relationship. But a mentor is there, is a lasting source of support and protection and guidance and direction, and when you are able to identify one, you will have secured, safety for yourself on your journey, and some measure, all right, of assurance, that things are not likely to work against you for any appreciable amount of time, because you have somebody who is looking out for you. And when you do notice that things are tricky, you have somebody that you can run to. And by the way, it's a private relationship, okay? And it's a relationship that both of you got into willingly, okay? So it provides a lot of safety. And that kind of compass, as it were, is what you should look for. It works. It works. I mean, someone said, he or she had been doing very well, doing a great job. Suddenly, there was downsizing, and the person appeared on the list. It was a shock. She was shocked. How could this have happened? Well, it happens to people who don't have this kind of, anchor that I'm talking about, who don't have this kind of, backing in place. How do you appear on the list of those to be laid off without knowing? If that means you're pretty weak, quite frankly, and have been quite negligent. If you are playing this game and you're doing it right, you have the right counsel, you have the right support, it's impossible for your name to appear on that kind of list. Your name may come up in that kind of exercise, but I tell you, if you are very effective, before anything happens, you would have known. And usually when it happens like that, people can do something about it. But when you have the list already released, what can you do? All right. If the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? You don't want to wait until things like that happen. All right. But that's not the whole essence. That's just one of the reasons that you would need a mentor. I advise people to look for a mentor more from the developmental, perspective, because beyond all the knowledge you gather, beyond all your certificates and all of that, that's somebody that can help you to grow positively, to grow in the right direction, to grow very fast. All right. Somebody that helps you to know very quickly, what is important from what is not important. All right. Somebody that gets you in that right mindset in the pursuit of your career. So there's a lot more to benefit having a mentor than, just trying to prevent anything bad from happening to you. Okay. So that's the strongest source of support as far as navigating, all right, with a compass is concerned. The mentor, the strongest source. And I hope that if you get one, it will be one who is really committed, okay? And there's a process for doing that, but that's not something that we'll be able to deal with, in the few minutes we have. Now, the next, I would say, is a coach. All right. So if you don't get a mentor, get a coach. All right. Or while you are looking for a mentor, if it's proven to be tricky, get a coach. All right. The coach usually will be external. but they're useful because they understand these issues. If you take me, for example, I've been in these things for more than 40 years. All right. Whether it's in different kinds of organizations. I've sat at different levels. I've been at the board, I've been chairman of the board, I've been member of executive management, in banks, in financial institutions, in non-financial institutions, in the church. I've been member of the board of regents of Covenant University, for example, 8 years. I've led many groups. I've sat in many, positions where decisions are taken and all of that. So, and I have had firsthand exposure, all right, to and experience in office politics. I understand it, and also from a professional standpoint, I'm more a strategy person, so when I stay within an environment, I'm doing a lot of observing and trying to figure things out. How do things work? So you need those kinds of people as well. I see a hand. Demola, your hand, sir. Please go ahead and speak.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon,
Good
fellow
afternoon, sir.
participants. Thank
Good
you so much,
afternoon.
sir. It's been another eye-opening session. I do tell people that no matter how much you think you know, you keep learning every day.
That's true.
And,
That's true.
you get so evolved and so immersed in what you are doing that you think that you don't need to learn new things. And I think that's the problem most people have. I'm
Yeah.
surprised that we don't have 50 to 100 participants in this session. And
You know
honestly,
the way it is.
yeah,
You have been around the industry. I mean,
yeah,
we will
yeah,
bring you one day to come and speak to
yeah,
people. Let them
yeah.
pick from your experience. Yeah.
Honestly, because when you mentioned the 6 areas of help,
Yes.
I couldn't wonder, but I mean, I could relate to virtually every
Every
phase of
one
it
of
because
them.
yes, my own career has been a product of seeking help
Yeah.
from my colleagues, from my supervisors, from people in the industry, my professional colleagues, and you realize that you can never go wrong
Yeah.
when you submit yourself for scrutiny, for help, for evaluation. You get better every day with what you do.
Yeah.
The tendency of the average career person is to think that I have 2 degrees, I have this, I have that, I don't need anybody's help. That is quite wrong. You touched on a couple of other important points. Talk about awareness of the environment of work, which is very important. You need to understand not just the culture of the office, but also the sensitivities of who you're working with. You need
Yes.
to know what they like, what they don't like. How are they thinking? Okay,
Yeah.
and this you will never get in the classroom. Nobody will
Yes.
sit you down and tell you that. I remember when I was at a Wonder Bank, Dr. Adedola was my immediate boss. We
Boss.
developed a very close relationship that after I didn't have a car then. After
Mm.
work, it will give me a lift because we lived almost in the same area.
Okay.
And on our way out of Papa, we'll stop by, eat, have a drink, and discuss. Imagine, and there were always about 6 levels between us.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah, but I learned a lot. I got to know how the organization was thinking. I
Uh-huh.
got to know the strategic reason behind most of the things that were being done
How
and
decisions are taken.
are taking
Yeah.
exactly what was the expectation of management concerning my department, concerning my role, and it really helped.
Mm.
So and also capacity. You talk about people don't have to rely only on capacity, which is true. Okay,
Mm.
there's a limit to where your capacity or merit can take you. You get to
Correct.
a certain level that what comes into play is how you position your brand, how you're able to play the politics, how you're able to relate with people, how you're able to show that you're a person of value. Okay,
Mm.
these things are not they go beyond I'm doing my job. I close at 5, I go home. During break time, you go alone to go and have your break. You don't even leave your
Yes.
desk to go to that department to network with people to know what's going on. So quite a
Correct.
lot of things, a lot of things. Thank you so much for the insight. God bless you,
Thank,
sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a good one. That's a good one. Do we have others who would want to contribute or maybe ask any question? I guess Demola has broken the ice. Though our time is spent, but just in case anyone has a question or the other, if you want to, you can unmute. Do we have anyone who wants to make additional contributions? And just as Demola has said, if you do have colleagues, you have friends, you have, people, junior ones who are up and coming, this comes up on every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 1:45 p.m. So you ask them to join, it's free. And, they can receive very valuable, counsel. I have met people in these, trainings and sessions like this, who are lamenting after 20 years of having, been in their career, that the things they were hearing, they should have had them 10, 15 years ago. And I just shake my head. I mean, you don't have to, why wait until that time, before you come to understand that the way organizations work, is different. Is very different. And if people, in fact, like I said, I had a woman who had done about 24 years and was just still not even yet a manager, working in a major bank. And she just couldn't figure out what was going on. It was like, what more do I do? And she happened to attend a session like this. And, out of it, she had to request for a special session to which she brought her children. One had just graduated, one was already a doctor, in her first year of employment, and the other was in final year in school. So I was wondering, I mean, why bring the children? Well, the point is she didn't want them to also discover what she was discovering after 24 years of having been a professional. It wasn't long after that she, called me and told me she was moving to another bank. So finally she was able to, get a better appointment. And now because she was armed, with some of the things that you need to move. And I won't be surprised that in that new role, because of what she now knows, she's able to move faster. Imagine if she had known these things, 10, 15 years before now. Okay, I'm not sure anyone has, any question for us. So I was saying the mentor, it is that most important, followed by the coach, followed by your boss. I will speak to the boss maybe next time because the boss is very crucial. A boss is very crucial. And because the boss, I'm not saying the boss is number one when it comes to navigating, but the boss has a place where it's even more important. There is a place where the boss is more important than the mentor. Okay? These things, there's a way they play out. So hopefully I will speak to that. And I was going to say the least effective is probably you relying on yourself and to some extent your peer group relying on them as well, because all of you are in the same bucket. All of you need help. I think that's a good place to stop, today, and to thank everyone who have taken time to join. 45 minutes, but it's 45 minutes that can change the career of anyone, who cares enough to attend. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, the Bible tells us. And it's as simple as straightforward as that. It's just as simple as straightforward as that. So bring your lunch. You can eat while you have one ear listening to nuggets that will change your life. Again, thank you. If you haven't joined, we have the Office Politics Champions WhatsApp group. We have the Office Politics Champions also community. You want to look out. And there's the Office Politics on YouTube. where I post videos every Monday. I'm sure some of us would know, but if you don't know, check it out. Just look for Office Politics Champions, the YouTube channel, and you have more resources there. We're building them up. Let's get together. And of course, we have other programs for those who really want, more specific help, and there are programs you can attend where we can deal with some of these issues in a lot more detail, and in a more, systematic, approach. So that's it for today. My name remains Olatunji Shobodu, and I am your anchor on Let's Talk Office Politics. Let's talk office politics. So till same time, 1 p.m. West African time, next week, Wednesday, let's make it a date, once more. And please come with some of your colleagues, come with somebody, come with loved ones. And you may come with your children who are just about getting, into their careers as well, just as that example I gave, that woman did. I'm sure, the children, it makes life easier for the children. All right, enjoy the rest of your week, and God bless you. Bye-bye.